A 30-year-old Harvard-trained Japanese scientist, Haruko Obokata, was behind one of the biggest scientific frauds of all time. She claimed to have developed a groundbreaking method to convert ordinary cells into stem cells, using near-lethal acid baths that she claimed would trigger stem-like abilities in cells that survived. Her research was published in the prestigious journal Nature, and generated Nobel Prize speculation. Her Harvard lab director called her the most hard-working and beautiful scientist who had ever worked in his lab, and the Japanese co-founder of the research institute where she worked compared her discovery to Copernicus's reorganization of the cosmos. However, her results couldn't be replicated, and an investigation revealed that she had manipulated data and images, and that her converted cells were actually just embryonic stem cells. The fallout led her Harvard lab director to step down and to the tragic suicide of her Japanese boss. Obokata was charged with scientific misconduct and her papers were retracted. She retreated from the public eye, and wound up working in a cake shop.
My name's Caroline, and we're going to be talking about scary stories.
20 years before she pled guilty to 7 counts of fraud and conspiracy in the FTX trial, Caroline Ellison appeared on a segment of the kids' TV show Arthur, where she talked about scary stories.
Often you're scared because you think something terrible is going to happen. There's another book that I really like. It's The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. It's about this man named Arthur Dent, and for some reason the world is being scheduled to be destroyed for hyperspace bypass, and he manages to hitch a ride on a passing spaceship with his alien friend, Ford Prefect. When I read a scary story and I start feeling scared and I can't get to sleep or something like that, I always try to think about something else. Like think about something really happy.
This woman scammed JP Morgan Chase out of $175 million. Charlie Javice, founder and CEO of Frank, a fintech company assisting students with financial aid forms, claimed her service had 4 million users when it really only had 300,000. To fool JP Morgan's due diligence team, Javice paid a data science professor $18,000 to fabricate 4 million fake student profiles. After a successful acquisition, Javice then paid a marketing company $105,000 for information on 4.5 million real college students to replace the fake data before JP Morgan tried to use it. But many of these students lacked valid email addresses. JP Morgan noticed something was wrong when they sent out a marketing email to a random sample of customers, and only 28% of the emails were successfully delivered, and only 1% were opened. Javice was arrested and charged with fraud and conspiracy and is currently facing up to 30 years in prison.
People thought this MIT grad could become the world's first trillionaire, but instead he wound up in prison. Sam Bankman-Fried founded FTX, a wildly profitable crypto exchange, but he used his customers' money for unauthorized investments and let his inexperienced girlfriend, Caroline Ellison, trade with it. The scheme was actually really profitable until Bankman-Fried and Ellison broke up, and she stopped speaking to him entirely. She ignored his advice to hedge during a downturn and wound up losing billions. They tried to quietly replace the money before anyone noticed, but an unexpected collapse of FTX's token triggered a bank run. Customers rushed to withdraw their money, and FTX was forced to admit that $9 billion was missing. Ellison cooperated with the feds and testified against her former boyfriend. Bankman-Fried received a 25-year prison sentence, while Ellison is unlikely to face any jail time.
The Varsity Blues scandal showed us how much parents are willing to lie and cheat to get their kids into the right schools. But what if the right schools are lying about how good they are? In 2021, a scandal erupted when it was revealed that Columbia University, an Ivy League school that at the time was ranked number 2 in the influential U.S. news ranking, tied with Harvard and MIT, had been submitting false data to the rankings for years. One of its own math professors exposed that Columbia had falsified its stats for class size, instructional spending, and more. They claimed that 82% of their classes had fewer than 20 students, then later admitted that it was actually only 57%. They falsely claimed to spend more on student instruction than Harvard, Yale, and Princeton combined. After the expose, Columbia plummeted from number 2 to number 18 and faced 2 class action lawsuits from disgruntled former students. The scandal exposed how easily the rankings could be manipulated. After intensifying criticism, the U.S. News overhauled its rankings the next year, which actually helped Columbia recover slightly to number 12, but still nowhere near its former number 2 perch.
When this CEO's crypto firm crashed and wiped out $45 billion of value, he grabbed $100 million of Bitcoin and went on the run, sending Interpol on an international manhunt. Do Kwon claimed to have designed an algorithm that would keep his Terra stablecoin pegged at $1 without the need for cash or traditional collateral. He set up a pseudo savings account that gave 20% interest on Terra deposits. In May 2021, Terra briefly fell from $1 to 94 cents, but it went back to $1 in a few days, and Kwon touted this as proof that his algorithm worked. People flocked to Terra, expecting a stable currency with fat interest rates. But in 2022, Terra fell from its $1 peg and never recovered, and Do Kwon went on the run. Turns out that when Terra had recovered from 94 cents a year earlier, he had made a deal with a trading firm to buy it and push the price back up to $1, and it hadn't been his magic algorithm at work. Do Kwon was eventually arrested in Montenegro with fake Costa Rican and Belgian passports.